course I have passion for my 49ers.
I am not going to back down on this one. Sometimes I go extra hard just to prove my point.
No, you don't get to have it both ways.
It's head-to-head. It's mono-a-mono. It's 49ers face-off. We've got JHill over here wearing the Shanahan hat.
The best hat ever.
And sometimes I think that he thinks he's better than Shanahan.
I never said that. I like Kyle a lot. He's
just because you don't say it, Jason, doesn't mean it's not true.
We've got Alex over here who's going to be bringing the argument in a big way today.
Cutback crew, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
They're ready to go. Does anyone have anything you want to say before we get into this?
After all this just terrible game today, I don't know. I mean, we probably won't do it, but we could easily do an hour and a half, though.
No.
There's so much coverage of just stuff that we have to hit.
If we get anywhere near that, I'm leaving. I'm not staying. I'm vacating.
I may be vacating also, but
I'm expiring.
The Cutback crew doesn't need that much nonsense.
I'll be talking to myself then. Great.
So,
don't you normally?
Big yikes indeed.
All right, guys.
No comment.
It is time for the coin toss.
Coin toss.
Since Alex called it last time, JHill, you are the one that gets to call it this time.
Let's call heads, just for fun, you know.
And it's heads.
Yeah, right. That worked out well for me again.
Feels like this is rigged. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like this is rigged. Not in my favor.
Just like
it could have been this time. Yes.
That's an inside joke. So Jason, what's going on here?
You know what, man? I will defer to you, just like our offense deferred scoring after that first possession for a long time.
Jason's bringing the spiciness early.
Spicy.
And this topic is going to be spicy. It's been spicy all offseason, ever since week 2, pretty much, of the 2020 season. Injuries, Alex. Who is to blame for these?
Well, I'm just going to take this topic then and punch it into the end zone on the first drive, just like the 49ers did. Because, look, this is pretty simple. This is pretty simple. Ross Dwelly is the problem, yeah. No, this is pretty simple, right? The person to blame for the 49ers is nobody. Because no one is to blame for contact injuries. That's just not how this works. Contact injuries aren't the fault of anyone other than the contact, which is unavoidable in a contact sport. Trent Williams' injury, contact. Jimmy Garoppolo's injury, from what it sounds like, contact. George Kittle's injury sustained in week 1 at the Lions, contact. Got stepped on after putting someone into the ground. This happens in football, surprisingly. Yes, Jason Verrett's was non-contact. There was a little bit of contact on the route. He got a little bit off balance, got a little body contact, and that probably contributed to what happened. Jeff Wilson Jr.'s non-contact, right? Standing up out of a chair and destroying his knee.
Made in China.
Those types of things happen, and they are extremely unfortunate. And sometimes the non-contact stuff can be put on the training staff. Maybe the training staff is working guys too hard. Maybe they're not focusing on the right things. Lower body injuries, especially most of the time, that's glute stuff. You're moving in space and things of that nature, and your knee, your quads, hamstrings can't handle the brunt force load. You're supposed to rely on the glutes in order to help stabilize the lower leg, the lower extremity, and your glutes aren't strong enough to handle and withstand that force, and so your knee goes. That can happen, 100%. But that's not what's happening right now with this team. That's not the injuries that this team is dealing with. That wasn't even the injuries the team was dealing with last year. If you think back to Bosa and Solomon Thomas's knee issues, both of them were on contact plays. It was not non-contact stuff that happened. Foot's on the ground. They got a guy pushing them one way. Foot's staying. Their body's moving one direction. And there you go. The force is just too much, and it's going to end up badly for them. This isn't on anyone. There's nothing the coaching staff can do. There's nothing the training staff can do. This is one of the risks with contact sports is contact. And sometimes contact can lead to injuries and bad things.
That is profound wisdom by Alex.
Yes, it is. It's almost like I went to school for it or something.
I was just going to say, for the people who don't know, your college degree is in what again?
Kinesiology.
Kinesiology. Yeah. So, yes, you would have good insight to this. So, potentially, I might have to actually humbly say that I might not win this particular debate.
No.
For once all year. But I would say this, though. It's concerning to me when you go, because every few years it seems like there's an NFL team that, or 2 or 3 every year, that could just get hammered by injuries. You can always find a couple teams who just get decimated. That was us last year. And through week 4, we're in the same damn boat. And
we are.
That's what's concerning to me is it's continuing, and some of it is the same guys getting hurt, so maybe that's just how their bodies are. But some of it is, and some of it is our new guys, and we can't even use the excuse of, oh, it was on turf. It was a turf injury. It's happening in our own stadium, and we all know that there's been a long history of people questioning the sod at Levi's.
It's true.
So I don't know if it's our grounds crew needs to do a better job, or maybe we do need to find a different training staff with a different approach. Because as we've seen in this sport and other sports, when you bring in a new staff with a new approach, good things happen. Shout out to my 107-win San Francisco Giants winning that NL West with a whole new staff, whole new mindset. So maybe Kyle and John at the end of the year need to sit down and really evaluate our training staff.
Didn't they already do that in 2019?
They kept them, I thought.
Didn't they? No. Fire their entire training staff after the 2018 season and bring in an entirely new training staff.
Well, that was 18, but
season.
That was not the last 2 years when we've had
2019. There wasn't a massive rash amount of injuries.
But 2020, and that's the other thing too, is sometimes when teams have deep playoff runs, that next year they get hurt with injuries. Well, that was us last year, but here we are in the same boat. Our starting running backs out.
Same boat, huh? They're all out for the season, huh? Missing a bunch of guys for the year, huh?
Our best corner, our best running back, potentially our best offensive lineman. We'll wait and see what the doctor says either later on
you're
today.
a little premature on Trent Williams there. We don't actually know what it is yet.
It's a shoulder, and that's the initial thing, but the MRI could prove that it could be a pec, and if it's a pec, he's gone for the year. So
he'd be gone for a good chunk of time. That would suck for the 49ers.
Would he be gone for the year though? Quan Alexander came back from a pec.
Torn pec. You can
Quan's superhuman though.
Oh, Trent's not.
Okay,
got it.
Quan's part of the hot.
Trent
boys.
Williams isn't. How can I miss? How can I forget that Trent Williams is just
hot
not superhuman?
boys.
No,
hot boys. Okay, hot boys.
He would miss most of the season, so I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, is there a possibility he could come back later in the football season?
It could be at best case, it could be a 12-week injury.
Okay.
That you think right now best case is 12 weeks.
If it's a torn pec, yes.
You don't know what it is though. I'm talking right now without knowing what it is. What's the best case?
It's a shoulder now, pending the MRI later on today or Tuesday morning.
Okay.
Then we'll know.
Okay, maybe.
But like I said, all the scientific points that you make are valid. But I'm just looking at this objectively.
They're not scientific points. They're scientific facts, my guy.
Scientific
facts. They're facts.
But I thought scientific could never be totally factual. It's always
ever evolving. Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it's always ever evolving. But they do know one thing about lower extremity injuries, which is most of the time it has to do with a weakness in the lower half of the body, whether that's quad, whether that's hamstring, whether that's glute. What do most athletes focus their time on in the gym?
Upper body.
Oh, upper body. Well, sometimes, but there's a lot of lower stuff. But usually when you're in a gym working out and doing stuff, it's quads, hamstrings. Very rarely is it your glutes. You're never isolating your glutes on certain exercises. Hence why glute weakness is most of the time the thing that leads to lower extremity injuries like ACLs, like sprained ankles, things of that nature. Your body can't withstand in space, and your glutes are considered part of your core. Your core. It's part of your, helping you with your balancing and center of gravity and staying on balance at contact points.
Probably do some more glute.
I know I do.
Myself.
I know I need to work on it. But look, this is my problem with this argument here and this thought process and this line of thinking is that the Niners have already addressed these things. They've addressed some of these things. They've hired a new training staff. They went after and looked and targeted guys in the offseason and in the draft that don't have injury stuff, don't have injury history, and you have guys getting injured still. It's football.
Right.
There's only one thing that is only one thing. One thing hasn't changed, Jason. One thing hasn't changed. The game that they're playing hasn't changed. The game that they're playing hasn't changed. And guess what? So long as football is football, there's always going to be injuries. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be times where you have tons of guys getting injured and other teams who get lucky and no guys get 2 seasons, Jason.
In a row, yeah.
2 in a row. Yes. 2.
Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, I don't know how in the hell that George Kittle didn't tear a hip or a knee or something, because that looks bad.
Yoga.
It is yoga.
Yoga, bro.
His sister is very good at yoga.
She does a really good job of promoting her yoga skills too on on Instagram.
Look, here's what George Kittle yoga. It's good stuff. Look, I don't like this thought process, and I don't like where this is going, because where this goes is to Ridiculousville.
It goes that
unchecked. This goes to ridiculous. It's not a legitimate concern. Every team gets injuries. Every team deals with injuries. Your job as an organization, as a franchise, is to coach up your guys, right? Get your guys to a point where you can withstand and deal with the adversity. Yes. You have to be able to handle adversity. This is sports. Sports is built around this.
I forgot that
not everything is supposed to be easy. The hardest things in life worth doing, the things in life that are most worth doing, Jason, are always the hardest things. They're not the easiest things.
Disagree.
I mean, you can disagree all you want.
Is the ref going to throw a challenge?
No, I'm disagreeing that because I love getting up, sitting in a recliner, and doing absolutely nothing and watching football.
You may like doing that, Ant, but it's not the most.
It's the most rewarding to me.
Definitely not.
Don't put your expectations on me, sir.
It's definitely.
I want to be lazy and do none of that.
All right, you do that. Then. You do you, my guy. You do
my
you.
Sunday. That's all my Sundays right there.
All right.
I bust my butt all week so that I can do that on Sundays. That's true.
Alex is in full coach talk. That's exactly what I would tell my players. But to be honest, I'm going the other way. Okay, and we're going to go a different way on this. Jason, you're going to kick off this topic. We're going to talk about Trey Lance's performance. What did you think about it? And where do the 49ers go now, moving forward?
Moving forward, my goodness. So, as many of our loyal viewers know, I've been a proponent of using Trey more in the red zone. I still stand by that comment. I just don't want to see him between the 20s.
But couldn't we just convince him that the entire field's the red zone, Jason?
If we could, that would prove that Kyle's not only a great coach, he'll have done Master Phil Jackson.
I was to say he's one heck of a psychologist.
To make that one happen. I would give Trey a solid D+ or C- at best.
Wow.
That is me being nice. I feel like I could have gone lower if I really wanted to, but like I said, I'm still cheerful about the Giants, so I'm trying not to let too many of Trey's god-awful throws get into my brain. But he looks like a guy who should be on the bench until next year. He really should be. And with Jimmy's calf probably being a 2 or 3 week injury, we're going to get him for the next couple of weeks. So I'm very curious to see what Kyle can do to drastically alter the offense, so we can actually get him to throw passes not at guys' shoe tops, for one thing, and not looking like he's just a deer in the headlights when the pocket collapses, for another. I tend to think that all 5 of these first round QBs will be pretty good, but from what I've seen in the first month, only Trevor should really be on the field. The other 4 have various issues that they need to improve on, and them just getting back there and just getting smashed is not going to help. That's why I was okay with Jimmy playing. Now Jimmy's hurt. No big shocker there. He's almost always hurt at some point during year anyway, so we have to expect that. I was just hoping it'd be like,
we have to expect it, but we got to blame the coaching staff and the training staff for Jimmy Garoppolo's injury.
I never said coaching staff.
Yeah. Okay.
Check the tape there, or just ask the referee. Did I ever say this was a coaching staff issue with the health?
Actually, no.
Thank you. Okay, good. So he was out of line there.
I don't know about that. I don't know about out of line. Look, Jason, I think for once we may agree on something, and that is that Trey Lance isn't ready right now.
You're getting smarter then. Good job.
Yeah, I've been saying that Trey Lance isn't ready, but
coming around.
It is what it is.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Look, Trey Lance isn't ready. And a lot of you can look at the QBR number, right? You can see that 127 and just base that as your whole argument for why Trey Lance, played better than Jimmy Garoppolo. He was the best quarterback on the field. I've actually seen that argument being made. The fact of the matter is that Trey Lance completed 50% of his passes. If this was Tim Tebow, y'all have been saying he's garbage. That's just the facts of the matter here. If Tim Tebow had pulled a performance like that out, can we stop while I'm talking? Thank you so much.
Can we not
50? If you complete 50%,
Tim Tebow and Trey Lance.
If you complete 50% of your balls, Jason, in the NFL, You definitionally did
Throw a
not
flag
have
on that, please.
a good play.
That's
No.
outrageous.
Throw a flag on what?
That is preposterous.
Throw a flag on what?
Outrageous.
Throw a flag on what? There's nothing to throw a flag on. There's nothing to throw a flag on because he completed 50% of his balls. Okay, 50% of his balls.
I would take a knee
He put a couple of them into the ground or almost into the hands of into defenders. These are all types of. He made throws that Jimmy Garoppolo makes that people lose their mind about, and yet no one has a word to say about it. No one has a word to say about it when Trey Lance makes it.
That's the difference.
I don't care if he's a rookie, Jason.
Neither do I, but
because these are the same people who are calling for Trey Lance are the same people who said that if Trey Lance goes into the football game, that Trey Lance is going to take the offense, which scored 28 a game, scored 28 a game, and scored 50 points. Right? That's the argument that's being made. Trey is struggling to find reads. Trey is having to have the same play called to him, and Kyle Shanahan having to tell him who to find and target because they ran back-to-back plays multiple times in which Trey misses the read and then comes back and finds the next guy in space. QBR is a terrible stat to use to discuss this. You and I agree that Trey Lance right now isn't ready. He's struggling to find and operate over the middle of the field. He's struggling in the short game. He has a strength, a great strength in the deep ball. The problem is what teams are doing to Jimmy Garoppolo, teams are now going to invert and do to Trey Lance. They're going to take away the deep shots. They're going to make him beat you in the area in which he's weak. And guess what, folks? Trey is going to struggle just as much as Jimmy is struggling. It's just the facts. The only difference is that Jimmy isn't going to complete 50% of his balls. He's going to complete 60 to 70% and convert on third downs and keep things alive. He's also not going to run around in the pocket with open receivers.
Because he can't run.
Well, yes, he can't run, but he's also going to get rid of the ball quickly. He's going to be able to anticipate. He can predict and do these types of things. Trey isn't ready right now. And the more the 49ers fan base pushes for this to be the case, right, the more that you push this guy, try and push this guy out there before he's fully ready, before he fully grasps his offense, before he fully understands how to read defenses, know where to go with the football, and be able to make quick, solid decisions with a major flaw in his mechanics, the more he's going to struggle. And the more he struggles, the less confident he's going to be. And the less confident he is, you're starting to stunt his potential growth down the line.
Nate the Great.
Nate Sudfeld? Oh, goodness gracious. Acknowledge this man.
He'll probably be suited for this.
KNDR, Caleb is now in the chat. He is joined, and he is happy that you just said that. He wants everyone to acknowledge him.
Yes.
Look, I would say I gave Trey's grade in this game is a D. It's a solid D for me. Listen, he didn't do anything to cost the 49ers the football game, but he definitely didn't do anything to win the 49ers the football game. The 76-yard touchdown pass to Deebo Samuel was not a good throw. Anyone who wants to say it's a good throw, it was a Pop Warner throw. Deebo Samuel broke on his route on the wheel and then had to sit there and wait for the ball to get there for 15 seconds because he underthrew that about a good 15 yards. You got to put that ball out in space. You can't just put the ball there and let Deebo come to it. We didn't have to. Deebo was wide open. Guess what? The only reason Deebo's wide open is because he has a terrible guy named Jamal Adams out there.
He's a great defensive end.
He's an incredible defensive end.
He is.
Yeah. You bring up the point about the Pop Warner throw, Alex, and let me just throw this out there. Stir it up a little bit. If Jimmy Garoppolo would have made the same throw,
terrible throw.
Yes. Okay, but from that point of view, there are people that would say it was a terrible throw,
and they would be right.
And how many people though would say it was? But he did enough to get it there. Because in the end, when somebody's that wide open, does it really matter how pretty it is as long as the ball gets there?
I guess no. Okay. I guess no, Ant. I guess that would be technically correct, Mr. Official.
I'm just wondering, because I know there's a perception about bad throws and underthrows
there's a difference,
in 49er land.
There's a difference, though, between Deebo being able to be on the run and on the move, right? And then having this maybe slow slightly down to catch the football and having to stop and wait for the ball.
Fair enough.
There's a difference between those two things.
He could have called for a fair catch on that ball.
Wow.
That seems like a bit much. But my problem with the throw isn't that it's underthrown, that the Deebo has to slow down, because Deebo doesn't slow down. Deebo stops and waits. It's an out and up. It's not an out, up, and sit. It's an out and up, and he's having to stop in space and wait for the football. That's a bad throw. I don't care if it's Tom Brady. I don't care if it's Joe Montana. I don't care if it's Trey Lance. I don't care if it's Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't care if it's Kyle Juszczyk. I don't care who's throwing the football. It's a bad throw. It's not a good throw, and anyone that wants to say it is, you're blind. You are blind to whatever your loyalties lie in this room. I want the 49ers to have success. I truly do. And I don't care who it is that's doing it. I don't care who it is that's operating. But we have to at least be honest. Otherwise, you're fooling yourself. You're absolutely fooling yourself.
Jason's commentary is pretty wonderful.
Wonderfully awful.
And going from one quarterback to another. And Alex, you're going to get to kick this one off. But considering that you were just talking about Tom Terrific, and you didn't care if it was him throwing the ball or who it was, it would be a bad throw. Tom Terrific apparently made a call to Welker and Wes Welker and said he was going to finish his career in San Francisco. The 49ers put up the big no sign up and said, we've got Jimmy Garoppolo here, and we feel comfortable that we feel Tom Brady is only marginally better than Jimmy Garoppolo. What are your feelings? Do you think this is a big story? Did the 49ers make a mistake not going with Thomas Edward Brady?
Did the 49ers make a mistake not going with Brady? Yes.
And I hope that was his middle name.
I've heard
two middle names.
He does.
Oh.
It's Edward. What else? What's the other one, Jason? Do you know?
Thomas Edward.
Something Brady.
Yeah.
Michael?
Something. No, it's like, I don't know.
It don't matter.
It is what it is.
Edward will work fine.
Is this a mistake?
It's like James or something, I think.
Hindsight's 20/20, right?
Usually
so you can look at this now, and it's obvious. I mean, obviously now, in today's world, in the NFL, and what we know what Tom Brady still is,
right.
It's a mistake. He was coming off of statistically one of his worst seasons in New England at the time.
With absolutely zero help, though.
Correct. He did have zero help. I will give you that. He had literally no help whatsoever.
PFF had that O-line and that wide receiving core as like the worst combo in the entire league that year.
Yeah,
so.
PFF is notorious for having really good breakdowns of teams.
Since you're talking stats real quick, though, didn't he throw for more yards than Jimmy Garoppolo?
He did, I think.
Yeah,
I think he did.
Over 4,000 yards, Jimmy 3,900.
Correct. So
without Kittle, without Depot,
it's one of those things. It's one of those things where you look at it. Hindsight's 20/20.
Mm-hmm.
It's obviously a mistake. At the time, they felt like Jimmy was potentially coming into the system. It was going to be his second full year the next season coming into the system. And so maybe as the starter, obviously not his second full year in the system itself, but playing, starting, and being healthy for a full potential season. And so Kyle was thinking there was going to be some sort of jump up for Jimmy Garoppolo from 2019 to 2020. And so he's willing to take that risk on the guy that he's developed now and seen in the system rather than Tom, in which when you bring Tom in, you know what? A few things. What do you know? Tom's going to want some say over the play calling. Tom's going to want control over what you do. And that's probably not how Kyle operates his system.
And
that is a bad thing necessarily.
In Antonio Brown would be terrible. Bring in Gronkowski as our second tight end would have been just dreadful. God.
All of those things, Jason.
Those two guys on our team.
Correct. All of those things are bad. Hindsight is 20/20.
God. No.
I understand why they didn't make the move. I'm not happy about it. I would have preferred to have had Tom Brady. The problem is hindsight's 20/20. Kyle Shanahan's looking at the big picture of what Tom is now, how much longer that may potentially have, and there's no way to know. At the time, did everyone know how close him and AB were at that point? With everything that was going on with AB, there was no thoughts that AB was even going to be back in the league, right? Gronk was retired and had stayed retired for a full year. There was no way to know that Gronk was going to come out of retirement until he got to Tampa Bay. All of those things are 20/20 hindsight things that you see now. You have the information. Obviously, the answer is yes. At the time, it wasn't so clear. Do I think this is a miss for Kyle Shanahan? I think it's a miss, but I don't know if it's necessarily a mistake. A mistake would have been knowing all of those things. We're going to get AB. We're going to get Gronk, right? Tom Brady's not going to go down, or Tom Brady still has plenty left in the tank, and not pulling the trigger on it, that's a mistake. This is just a miss.
It's definitely a big miss, right? Like, and just from the story of a guy who grew up idolizing Joe Montana, Bay Area kid, potentially the best quarterback ever. That's up for debate for some people.
In the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, definitely up there.
Mac Jones.
And mac and cheese. And he's calling you. He's saying, guys, I want to come home. Not, hey, Tom, like this is not Draymond freaking Green in the parking lot calling Kevin Durant and begging him to come join us. We need you, KD. This is one of the best quarterbacks of all time saying, I want to come home. I want to play for the team that I grew up rooting for. Like, I was trying, as we were talking about pre-show stuff, I was trying to think of a great analogy to put this in context of what this would actually be.
Okay.
And I can't even really find one, because this is I understand that they were committed to Jimmy contractually. I understand that. and I understand that he was coming off a pretty good year in which we got to the Super Bowl, except for the fact that we didn't win the Super Bowl. And Tom was coming, like you said, he was coming off one of his quote unquote worst years ever.
I won't even say worst year ever. It was a down year, though.
First round playoff loss in which he threw a pick six on his last play ever for the Patriots at home.
All signs trending towards possibly the decline.
But then he had those workouts, and his workouts for Tampa and a couple of spots. You saw that the velocity was still there. We
also saw in Trey Lance's workouts that his mechanics were fixed. Workouts don't always tell the tale.
Well, Tom's always had good mechanics. So.
Well, and remember, right? Tom Brady says, according to these comments that are from the book, that not only is he not going to work out for any other teams, like I'm not working out for anyone else. It's exclusive to the 49ers. 2 years, $50 million, so $25 million a year, which I think everyone believes is completely fair for value. A quarterback of that caliber.
Yep.
So that's not really an issue. You don't have a no trade with Jimmy last year, so you could have moved him.
True.
He would have had a lot of trade value because he just took a team to the Super Bowl.
True.
So how are you guys feeling about that? Does that play into the fact that maybe this is a big miss? Or does it not play any fact into it?
It should have, right? It should have. And this might be a case of John being an ex-player where locker room loyalty superseded his, I won't say judgment, but his analysis of everything that was going on.
Can you do that to Jimmy Garoppolo another time? Have him get ousted from an organization for the same quarterback?
The question.
I'm sorry. I watched this organization tell Joe Montana that even though he still had 2 or 3 more elite years left, nah, man, you're good. So
that's different, though, right? That's the past organization, though.
Right,
the current one. The current one cares about people. Think about it, they're trading people to where they want to be. They're putting them in good situations.
It's all great, but at the end of the day,
that's what I'm going to ask you. Does that get in the way?
I think sometimes it just might, and I think John's a hell of a man. Like I think he's done a pretty good job. Obviously, he's done a really good job with this roster. But if he was a little more cold-hearted, a little more cutthroat, it probably would be okay.
Sounds like he wants him to be a little more brutally honest.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Well, I mean, the fact that we could have had Tom Brady and we didn't is a big yikes in itself. So
I don't know about big yikes.
That's a big yikes.
It's a yikes. Well, it's a yikes in hindsight, man. That's not a big yikes. It's just a yikes.
Is this eerily similar to Peyton Manning and Harbaugh?
Yeah, absolutely.
But here's the only difference is that I see right now is there's potentially an avenue to fix this. There is potentially an avenue to fix this here down the line coming up, but that's another topic for another day.
Tom's not going to leave Tampa.
I'm not talking about Tom, my guy.
To do with Tom. He's going with another local boy, Chico.
I don't think we're talking about Mr. Malibu here himself. All right.
Look,
Mr. Jeopardy.
Look, all I'm saying is discount
State
double
Farm
check
on line 1.
Discount double check could be coming to Santa Clara next year. But the point of the matter for me is that while this is a yikes, it's not good. It is a miss.
It's a big miss, though, Alex.
Hindsight makes this bigger than it actually is because you don't know all of the other factors that go into it.
Let me ask you this.
You really don't.
Why in the hell do you think that this would come out right now?
Because the book just came out.
Yeah. No.
Duh, my guy. Someone wrote a book.
But the book coming out right now, though.
Because Tom's getting ready to retire.
No, he's not.
Well, the book should come out too because Tom was getting ready to go back to New England.
Also,
so it's a hotbed issue. So you're going to sell more books.
It's the perfect time to release it.
And the fact that Tom actually included this in that book too is interesting to me because
he wants everyone to know that the 49ers made a mistake and now he went and won a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing Aaron Rodgers did with teams past him.
What do you mean? This is the Tom Brady theme.
Remember Tom saying that on that I think it was on the HBO interview where he sat there and goes, "Are you effing kidding me? You're going to keep that guy over me?" And everyone thought it was the Chicago Bears. And I said, no, it's us. I said it was us when I heard it because given everything that we talked about and the fact that he and Jimmy aren't exactly BFFs, that spite that he talked about, it was us. And this proves that a couple months ago he was hinting at, you're keeping Jimmy Garoppolo over me?
Well, you're not keeping. You're choosing Jimmy Garoppolo over me.
What are you thinking? And
look, listen. Tom is always. I mean, this is what the great ones do, right? Like Michael Jordan found little digs, people doing stupid little
just
things.
The most random stuff ever.
Everything was something to help him elevate. This is the same thing for Tom Brady.
Did it too.
But this is why for me it's not really that much of a big yikes, dude. This is just a miss. It's just a miss. You don't know what Tom is going to continue to do. You don't know that he's bringing Gronk. You don't know that AB is going to get his himself on the straight and narrow and literally live with Tom Brady in order to make better life choices, Jason.
You didn't
literally live with Tom Brady to make better life choices.
Exactly.
I think
maturity is more like a babysitter.
I think you guys are all missing the point that if we'd have got Tom Brady and TB12, the injury bug would have went away.
That's also true too. The avocado ice cream works wonders. That's absolutely accurate.
That's what it is.
I was going to go there.
You know what? This isn't the curse. This isn't the curse of Candlestick. This is not even the curse of TB12. This is the curse of Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, it's the curse. It's still the curse.
It's the curse of Jimmy GQ. It's official.
You leave San Francisco,
it's official.
All bad things happen.
Before we move on to the drive,
Giants stayed there and have already won 3 World Series. And
well, they also got a new stadium. That's neither here nor there.
That's why they stayed.
Yeah. Yeah. They weren't going to give him a new one. Never mind. But Jason, I would like to know this before we go to the drive from both of you.
Okay.
Your initial reaction when you heard, because this did come out way back.
Yes, it did.
What was your initial reaction when you heard Tom Brady was a possibility for the 49ers? I'm curious what each one of your reactions are. Not the hindsight, now, right. But then.
Now, yeah. So I remember us and a couple other of our buddies talking about Tom potentially when that story came out because it was obviously something that was at least intriguing. Mm-hmm. And I believe, I want to say I was open to it, right? But I said that because I didn't necessarily I've always liked Jimmy. I've never been in love with the Jimmy, and
he is handsome though.
He's great. I wish I was as good looking as he was, because then I could hang out with a porn star or two. So that'd be nice.
All right,
but no,
You can't even think straight.
I'm looking at Ant's face when I said that was priceless.
It was pretty good.
I really do believe that it was something that we should have at least explored, and I did say that to you guys we should at least do our due diligence here and see what there is, because if it's something that is a fit, and we all did talk about how our offensive line and our weapons were better than what Tom had in his last year in Foxborough. So the idea of Tom having Debo and having Kittle and having our O-line and having Kyle's play calling versus boring, Bill Belichick was something that was appealing. Now, in all honesty, I was always much more of a fan of us going after the guy from Chico, because he was obviously is 6 or 7 years younger than Tom Terrific, but
still a chance.
But of those two, I mean, you give us one of those guys, and if we could actually stay healthy, we would just wreck the league apart. I mean, we absolutely would. 1 through 53, us and Tampa last year and this year too there's not a huge gap. There's really not. There's one big difference though. We have a guy who's hanging out with porn stars, and they have the all-time winningest winner of the history of the sport. So, yeah.
My initial reaction was just, this sucks. Right?
Even tears over that.
I don't have to even go on a 20-minute tirade about this, Jason. This sucks. It just sucks. Knowing that Tom wants to come to San Francisco, knowing that Tom wants to finish out his career here, knowing that he's a 49er guy, right? He grew up a 49er fan. It's a great story. And Jimmy Garoppolo loyalty aside, being able to bring a guy like that in just does a lot of things for your team. It does a lot of things for your locker room. It just sucked. When I actually looked at all the situations and all the things that the 49ers had to do, weighing that decision to make that decision, I understand how they draw the conclusion that they draw. Is it a miss? Obviously. You can't argue that it isn't. But I understand the thought process and what went into why the decision was made. It just sucks. That's what it is. It just sucks.
Yeah. And in the Harbaugh situation, right, play calling was a big part of it. Peyton Manning was going to come and take over the play calling, pretty much run the offense. The rumors were that's what Tom Brady wanted as well, to install a lot of his own stuff. And maybe Kyle wasn't willing to do that.
Which Arians balked at for the first half of the year, and then he loosened up to it, and they won a Super Bowl.
I agree with you. All right, so now it's time for the drive. Time for the drive.
Oh boy. Oh goodness.
Oh
gracious.
yeah, it's going to be time for the drive. And Jason, since you won the toss, you get to decide who goes first on this topic. You will have 1 minute to win this conversation. Everyone's going to be able to decide, not me, but them. And this is going to be a fun one. I'm excited to hear what both of you have to say. So, Jason, who is going to be going first?
I'll be nice, except for the first argument. I've taken him out to the woodshed today, so I'll let him go first.
All right, so Alex, you're going first on the drive. Apparently, you're in the woodshed.
Apparently. Is it like the doghouse?
And yeah, it's like the doghouse. And the
that'd
question
be for you and Megan, I think. I don't think that one's for me.
Never.
The question for the drive is, do you believe the 49ers have a legitimate chance versus the Arizona Cardinals on?
Yes, and anyone who would say otherwise is fooling themselves. I would even go so far as potentially say clownish. Every game, any team can do anything. Right? Every game, anyone can win any matchup. It depends on health, scheme, tactic, what you attack, what you can attack, and level of execution. Level of execution matters. This defense has been executing at a very high level through the last few weeks. And if you are making faces right now off screen, then you haven't really watched much of the game. The defense has executed. They put guys in positions, the game plan has been done well and schemed up well, but the execution hasn't been there. So my apologies, I misspoke. So you had the right to make that face. But the game plan has been in place. It's just about execution. This defense can still operate at a high level, and if they do, the 49ers can be in any game that they need to be in, and hopefully Trey Lance is able to get some things going. This comes down to the offense, and if the offense can find a way to dial some stuff up, we're going to have an opportunity to beat the Arizona Cardinals, potentially even at their own game.
No, as my illustrious partner was just saying, that he was just ripping apart poor, innocent, young Trey Lance. And now he's telling you that we have a legit chance to beat the Cardinals with D-Hop, with their good running game, their very fast defense, and Trey Lance, who looked awful today, as we both were commenting on. No, let's be honest here. This game is not going to, unless Kyler throws 4 picks, we're not going to win this game. I'm sorry, folks. We're going to be 2-3. I don't care what game plan we have, what scheme we have. We don't do well against running quarterbacks. Our starting quarterback's hurt. This game might get really ugly really fast. I don't see any chance. And as far as our defense playing well, we've had 2 games where they've scored less than 20, and then 2 games where they scored 28 plus. So I'm not sure our defense has played that great. In spurts, they've been good.
You're going overtime. You're going overtime. For something that you said was going to be so simple, you sure did get into it. But I will say this, Jason, you are the ever so optimist, so I'm excited about what you had to say.
By optimist, he means the Debbie Downer.
But both of you, have your points, and both of you made a legitimate argument. But it's not for me to decide whose argument is right, and really, I don't have to say what my argument would be. But you can let everyone know what the argument should be down in the comment section below. Let us know who won. Was it JHill with his ultimate optimism? Was it Alex with his ultimate negativity? Let us know who actually won this conversation. It's a lot of fun to have. It's a lot of fun to talk 49ers, and we want to hear from you because you are the ones who decide.
Absolutely. You're always the ones who decide. Jay, this was an interesting one, my guy. While we agree on, I think, a lot of things.
Interesting that you guys agreed.
on the Trey Lance situation, I think our viewpoints on Trey wildly differ in terms of where he's at and where he's going to be, because I still think it's going to take him a few more years.
If it takes him a few more years, then we're in trouble.
Yeah, it's hello next regime. You got Trey Lance.
No, it isn't. It's discount double check time, baby.
Ooh,
bringing the discount.
Alex is ready to call in the righty.
Would you trade?
No. That's for another episode. Nice try.
No, yeah. Hold up. Whatever you're thinking, wait. Write it down.
Write it down.
We'll quote the great Van Wilder. Write that down.
Write that down.
Write that down.
Write that down, indeed. Cutback crew, we enjoyed this. It was a lot of fun,
today.
as it always is. And until the next one, stay safe.
Remember, the right way is always the 49ers way.
Nice to stop talking about stupid DBs all the time, too.